This video is brought to you by Against the Flow of Mississippi. Against the Flow of Mississippi is a book about Jake Fayard, a Marine veteran who is unhappy with the political machine running the state of Mississippi. He decides to fight the corruption from the inside. Jake will face more challenges than he ever has and will stand up for what he thinks is right. His notoriously hot temper will push him to the edge of murder, along with his friend and brother Kobe Barhanovich. Together, they will fight the system and give the power back to the citizens of Mississippi. Against the Flow of Mississippi is now available on Amazon. A link to the book will be placed in the description below. Welcome to History in the Eyes of a Southerner with your host, Anthony Allen. On this channel, we will take a journey through time and relate history to the contemporary eyes of modern America. I hope you enjoy the ride as I investigate and document the wonderful events that have shaped our present world. Alright, y'all, it's Anthony Allen, your host, History in the Eyes of a Southerner. And just making a little trek down I-10 here. July 5th, 2021. Eventually I'll get a better camera, but right now I'm just using the iPhone. At home I'm using my laptop. I'm very low budget on this, people. But, hey, you know what? Y'all get it for free, and I hope y'all enjoy it. But, last few videos I did were about War of Northern Aggression, Civil War, whatever you want to call it. My next few videos, and I'm going to piece them together when I get home, probably going to try to get this all in one, maybe two shots. I don't know yet. We'll see. It's going to be the history of the Mississippi Gulf Coast, which is where I call home. Like I said, right now we're starting our journey. We're on Interstate 10, heading westbound toward Biloxi, and there is Gaucher and Vancleave. I'm hoping that y'all will enjoy the show and enjoy the content. I'm going to be filming all over Biloxi today and telling about some of the things and, you know, led up to Biloxi being what she is. So I'll check back with y'all here in a little bit. Alright, y'all, so now we're entering into Ocean Springs, Mississippi. I'm going to show y'all the site of the first fort of the French that they established when they landed here in 1699. Now, we are right across the bay from Biloxi. This is Washington Street. Obviously, in 1699, it certainly did not look like this. You know, it didn't have all these bars and party houses that they have now. This is kind of a artsy area where just about anybody comes to drink and hang out, do all kind of stuff. I'm sure some of these trees were here in 1699. I'm pretty sure that the climate was very rough and unforgiving. Although they did land in February. I'm not quite sure what the weather was like when they landed. You know, I've seen it 40 degrees in February, which is pretty cold to us, and I've seen it 80 degrees in February. So just not quite sure exactly what they stepped into. But where we're going is the site of old Fort Maripoa. That was the French fort that was here. Should be there in just about a minute or two. But this is a lovely area. A little side note about this tree. A lot of jacked up trucks have hit it, I can tell you that for sure. This is called Front Beach. That is the Gulf of Mexico. Turn around, go back and see if I can find the site of the fort. By the way, if you look over there, that's Biloxi. Hopefully it'll show up better. And side note from this, that bridge that you see, that's the Ocean Springs Biloxi Bridge, and that was built just after Hurricane Katrina tore down the old one. I do believe this is the side of the fort. Yes, it is. I'll pull in here real quick and heading to Biloxi. Hopefully y'all enjoy the ride with me. Go up Front Beach, East Beach. We should be in Biloxi in just a few minutes. A lot of people don't realize this area used to be Louisiana. You know, I've had people, when I've gone to other parts of the country, sadly, and I hate to mention it, but in this video, I'm going to mention it. A lot of people don't realize that Hurricane Katrina laid waste to this area. I've literally had people tell me that, oh, well, how did you go through Katrina? You weren't in New Orleans. And I'll tell them, well, you know, New Orleans is only about 80 miles that way. So a lot of what you're going to see is not the Biloxi that I grew up in, because a lot of it, like I said, was laid waste to. Such as that bridge right there. You know, the old bridge used to, when you go across the old bridge, you used to feel like you were galloping on a horse. Now the new bridge is much smoother, and it's a causeway, not a drawbridge. The old bridge used to be a drawbridge and would let boats go under and all that good stuff. A lot of people also don't realize how old this area is. You know, people think in terms of how old the United States is. And, you know, of course, this being the day after Independence Day, this area actually predates the United States as far as European settlement goes by 77 years. And this area wasn't even officially a part of the United States until 1810. Well, it's kind of disputed. Between 1802 and 1810, when this area actually became a part of the United States. You know, this was under French control, and then Spanish control, and then, you know, it became its own country, the Republic of West Florida. And then it got turned into the Mississippi Territory. And then, of course, later on it became the state of Mississippi. 8 flags have flown over this area. Now we have just crossed Motion Springs into the city of Biloxi. a part of town called Point Cadet, which used to be one of the poorer parts of town, and now it is, well, it's pretty much the breadwinner of Biloxi now with all the casinos. Drive down to Oak Street, let y'all see what it looks like, and then I'm going to stop recording because I've got to go pick up my dad and take care of him. Take him a few places, let him run around, get some stuff done. That's the Golden Nugget, owned by Las Vegas. I personally am not too big of a fan of the casinos. I go on occasion, but I often wonder if Biloxi would have been better off without them. And in some ways, I think it would. In some ways, maybe Biloxi would have just died without them. A lot of money in casinos here. All down here used to be nothing but casinos. And Hurricane Katrina laid waste to them. Again, part of me wishes they wouldn't have came back, but that's just my opinion. I'm going to go ahead and stop recording and go handle my business. I'll pick it up later with y'all. Alright, y'all. So, back on the ranch here, talking about Biloxi's founding, and I'll tell you a little bit about it. Right now I'm on Oak Street heading south. I would go north, but a lot of construction going on, and civic improvements, I guess, would be the term for it. Sitting over here, that's the Harris Casino. A lot of casinos down here. Alright, back on Highway 90 heading toward downtown Biloxi. A lot of these empty lots that you see are former Grand Hotels and stuff. It was built back in the 20s and 30s. That right there is the Orr O'Keefe Museum. Mad Potter George Orr, and he was known for being a little crazy, but kind of a local hero of the last, well, late 1800s, early 1900s. I'll admit I don't know much about him, but I do know that he was a nut and he was a hell of an artist. Coming into downtown Biloxi, there is Deer Island, which sits just feet offshore, it seems. It almost looks like you could walk there, but you really don't want to try that, because it's kind of deep there in between small craft harbor and Deer Island. Alright, we're in downtown Biloxi. This is the town green on my right. A lot of events happen. Of course, Hard Rock Casino and the Beau Rivage Casino on your left. On my left, I guess. Probably your left too, because you're probably looking at the same thing I'm recording. Gonna make a quick lap, real quick, and show you some historical. Show you something historic. There's MGM Park. That's a new, I don't know if it's AA or AAA baseball. I don't know what you would call it, but it's where the Biloxi Shuckers play. I'm not going to say what I think about the city spending money on that park, but if you know me, you probably know how I feel. We're going up Cavet Street, and Cavet Street is kind of a commercial area. This street used to be 2 lanes. Used to have houses on it. Then they 4-laned it. And then Katrina happened. So, just turned into a big commercial conglomerate area. South of Division Street anyway. North of Division Street is pretty much barren. And this here, cross street, is Division Street. Coming up on your right is the Imperial Palace Casino. It's probably a pretty nice place, but I have never won there. I'm just joking. It actually is a nice place. But still, I've never won there. So what about it, IP? Not that I gamble very much, but I don't know. Maybe you'll watch this video, go there, and have better luck than me. Now we are on Bayview Avenue, and that is the back bay of Biloxi. And across the bay over there is D'Iberville. Of course, we're coming up on Boomtown Casino, but what I want to show y'all is a really cool thing that sits next, basically next to Boomtown Casino. By the way, I don't know what's up at Boomtown. Y'all used to have the best buffet on the coast, and y'all kind of slipping. Just saying. Alright, this is what I wanted to show y'all, and I'm going to have to turn around to get to it, because that's one way to get over there. This is the new Back Bay Boulevard that was supposed to alleviate a lot of the traffic going to the point, and it was a good idea, and there was definitely a need for it when it was built, but now there's just no need for it because there's not a lot of traffic on it, and there's really nothing out here anymore, sadly. I mean, there was definitely a need for it. Alright, this building that I'm coming up to is called Old Brick House, and it was built in 1790. It's probably one of my favorite structures on the Gulf Coast. Now, it is not the oldest building on the Gulf Coast, and certainly not the oldest building in the state of Mississippi. That goes to the Krebs House in Pascagoula, which is about 30 miles to the east. But Old Brick House. Now this, like I said, this is amazing. Built in 1790. Alright, y'all, as we drive away from Old Brick House, and we head back onto the old Bayview Avenue. We'll tell a little bit about this area. This area is known as Point Cadet. Well, excuse me, this area is not known as Point Cadet, but we're close. This area did have a bunch of canneries and what we would call, locally we used to call them shrimp factories. Obviously you don't make shrimp in a factory, but you do can them, you can pack them, and they used to cover this area. A lot of people used to complain, oh man, this area stinks. Oh my God, this area stinks. People used to complain. Personally, call me crazy, I love the smell of shrimp. Maybe it's because I grew up with it. I don't know. Maybe it's because my first job was in a shrimp factory, if you will. And there's a few left. There's not near as many as it used to be. By the way, another bit of history. This road here, all these roads, not this one because this is obviously, as I mentioned before, a new road, used to be paved with oyster shells. With these canneries, they used to have a massive mountains of oyster shells. And really, nobody really knew what to do with them, I don't think. So somebody said, hey, I got an idea. Why don't we just use them to pave the roads in Biloxi? So, I mean, honestly, it was going green. Biloxi was going green before going green was a thing. And, of course, this goes back to the, really, the 1890s. And it continued until we, wound up having the modern paved roads that we have. But I can imagine that it must have saved the city a lot of money for paving these roads with these oyster shells. Wouldn't recommend walking around barefooted on them unless you had some really thick-skinned feet. Right? I can imagine it must have been, it was basically, solving two problems at once. It's a very smart thing to do, in my opinion. It's just amazing. And of course, since then, just to give you another idea, this is not the Biloxi that I grew up in. The Biloxi that I grew up in is gone. This area goes through a facelift about every 10 years, 10 to 15 years. But more on that later when I pick it up. By the way, on behalf of the city of Biloxi, I guess, pardon our dust. This is Oak Street. This is supposed to be a major thoroughfare, and, well, I guess whoever is working on it likes to tear up the roads, and yeah, they've only repaved this road about 18 times in the last 6 years. That's an exaggeration, but you get my point. And of course, they tore it up again to put new drainage in. But anyway, like I said, pardon our dust. I gotta go pick up a brother of mine, and I'll be back. Alright, so picked up my brother, and we're riding around. Say hey, Bert.
Hey, what's up, y'all?
Alright. So I've shown y'all. Oh, come on, Biloxi, do better. So I've shown y'all Casino Road, downtown Biloxi. I've shown y'all old brick house. Brought y'all back on the point, which is where we're at now, what is known as Point Cadet. I'm gonna take y'all back downtown. Gonna go down Division Street. Bert, you feel like doing some walking today? Huh?
Walking I can do.
Alright, well let's do some walking. I'm gonna show these people the downtown historical area. This here is Division Street. Now, when I was growing up, Division Street used to be a pretty dangerous street. It's not like that anymore. The city of Biloxi come in here in the early 90s and they completely cleaned this area up, sent a lot of bad guys to prison for some very hard time.
No, they just think they're hard now.
Now, you know, the ones that think they run Division Street, their bark is far worse than their bite. And that's a guaranteed fact. So, some people will freak out if y'all have never been to Biloxi and, oh my God, you're on Division Street. Now, I don't know what this person's doing. Oh, they're from Florida, so. Is that Honda on Atlantic? They must be from Jacksonville. Coggin, yes, they are from Jacksonville. You a long way from Duval, son.
Duval.
Hey, roll on your window. Duval!
You look confused.
I know he looked confused. He's probably like, really? Did they just Duval me and I'm not in Jax? Sorry, y'all. I used to live in Jacksonville, Florida. Had to have a little fun. Especially when the guy was driving like an idiot. Anyway. What fun is it to have a documentary without me acting like a complete idiot, right?
Well, somebody acting like a complete idiot.
Yeah. Alright, so we are now on Lee Street. And being that we are on Lee Street, please turn that off. Thank you. Now that we are on Lee Street, I'm going to turn on to Howard Avenue and show y'all the new and improved Howard Avenue.
I still love that house right there.
Oh, I do too. That is a nice house. Most of these houses, or all of them really now, are over 100 years old that you see on this end. That used to be Duquesne Elementary. Now it is the Biloxi Public Library and Civic Center.
They actually have nice rooms in there.
For the library?
Not the building next to the Civic Center. When my sister did her wedding, that's where she did it.
Oh, y'all did it? Oh, okay. See, I didn't
They
know.
actually have a nice room in there.
That's pretty nice. All right, this is downtown Biloxi. They've changed this up yet again because they used to force you to go that way. Well, they keep changing up the roads here in Biloxi. I don't know. I guess somebody gets a wild hair and decides that, hey, we're going to just change everything. But, you know, it is what it is. That is the Masonic Lodge, and they have commercial businesses downstairs. Magnolia Lodge number 120 for those brothers who may be watching. People's Bank, and you can even see the vault from here. Well, probably not with the glare on the windows, but if you looked at those windows, you could definitely see about the largest bank vault I've ever seen.
Yeah, not the largest one I've ever seen.
Well, now this is Lemieux Street and Jackson Street.
City Hall.
And this is City Hall. It's completely marble. Was built in 1908 and established as the City Hall in, I believe, 1964. Before that, it was actually built as a courthouse. I mean, as a post office and customs house. I guess at the turn of the century, they felt like, hey, you know what? We got money to burn. Let's build an entire marble building. You don't see too many buildings built like that anymore. I guess government has gotten cheap. All right, now we're back on Highway 90. And we're passing Mary Mahoney's. Mary Mahoney's old French house. It was built about 1737. Now we're coming down in front of Beau Rivage again. We just continue on down the beach and go all the way to Gulfport, I think, and that'll be about the end of this segment of the video.
Got the lighthouse coming up.
Yep. The old Biloxi Lighthouse was built in 1848, and it's still not really used as a lighthouse anymore, but it's still used as a lighthouse. But obviously with the invention of ship's radar and such, you don't need it. This is the only lighthouse that's located in the middle of a 4-lane highway in the United States.
That's damn true.
Keep in mind that originally when the lighthouse was built, it was actually on the shoreline, and the beach, and here's an interesting fact I did not mention earlier, the beach over here is actually man-made. This is 26 miles of man-made beach. Sand was pumped in by the Army Corps of Engineers, which also extended the land and built the shoreline down. 100 years ago, if we were in this same spot, we would literally be right on the shoreline. The White House Hotel that was an eyesore for most of my life, and then they finally decided to do something with it. It was built in 1895. But it was reopened about 5 years ago and has proven itself to be one of the bells of the ball around here, if you will.
You know, I've never actually been inside the White House.
I walked in there when it first opened, and it's actually pretty nice. I'm sure it still is.
I'm sure it still is. They pay good money, I heard, for events and stuff.
I don't know. I'm not in that venue.
Yeah, I was just talking to my mom. I told my mom everybody loved the way she set up the wedding, and I told her, why don't you make some money and go set up weddings and stuff and events.
She probably could.
I don't know. My sister's wedding, everybody was like, when are you going to do our wedding?
Well, I mean, maybe your mother has a talent for it, isn't it? She's certainly a smart lady. She can do it. Let's see. All these used to be really nice houses all through here. Taken out by Katrina. Miramar Park, where I grew up playing as a kid.
Yeah, but here's the thing. You know it's not. You know it came out nice when people were comparing it to the Beau Rivage.
There you go.
We don't hear that one every day.
You can't really see the beach for the dunes that they have built right there. You can there. Of course, you got your jet skis and all that good stuff. This is the neighborhood where I grew up, basically where we're at. course, traffic is definitely not improved.
Yeah, during COVID, you can go from one end of you can go from Biloxi to Gulfport very quickly when it was first started.
Well, you know, the COVID corona is over, thank God.
For the most part.
But I'm not going to get into that. Snappers Seafood Restaurant. Pretty good restaurant. I liked it.
I actually do like it because I went in there one day, got scrambled eggs with like shrimp and shit in it. Pretty good.
There's Shark Heads, South Beach. A lot of things are built. There's the street I grew up on, Traggy Avenue. About halfway up it. All this is fairly new. I don't know why people are stopping when the light is green. Well, it just turned yellow. Must be somebody from out of state. Not knowing where they're going, I would assume.
There we go, big play.
Yeah, big play. I remember when that was a no-tell motel over there. I remember when in that parking lot there was a Taco Bell, a title loan place, a no-tell motel, and a bar.
Sure, there was a lot of bars down here.
There was a whole bunch of bars. This here is called Sin City.
Yeah, in other words, another spot instead of Vegas.
What this was, this you're on the Biloxi Strip here. And they used to have all kind of illegal gambling, strip joints, etc. And it was ran by a collective group of people who kept it going really from about the 30s till about the 80s. So for 50 plus year run on this side over here.
Made a shit ton of money doing it.
If you want to know more about it, I'll give y'all a couple of books that y'all are welcome to read. Edward Hume's Mississippi Mud, and Chet Nicholson, who was a local attorney, wrote a book called The Dream Room. I'm actually reading The Dream Room, and I have read Mississippi Mud, and I'm writing my own book. But more on that later. I'll do a report on Chet Nicholson's Dream Room when I get done reading it in a whole nother video.
And don't forget, you can't miss a Waffle House in Mississippi.
Oh yeah, down here, if you get hungry, you can always find a Waffle House. They're open 24/7. Unfortunately, you can't smoke in them anymore.
Yeah.
That's the only bad part.
I was mad when they took that away.
Ooh, somebody's stuck on the beach.
That sucks.
I guess they thought their Suburban could handle the sand. Yeah, folks, if you come down here and you're not from here, don't park on the beach. If it's heavy sand, you will be calling one of our world famous tow truck services to come pull you out, which they will do and charge you a nominal fee to do it.
Yeah, at least 150, 175 bucks.
Unless you find some good old boy with a truck. This here is Beauvoir, the last home of the Confederate President Jefferson Davis. This was all but destroyed after Hurricane Katrina, and thankfully through donations, the Sons of Confederate Veterans has brought it back. I'm actually going to detour and show the outer perimeter. The fence through the last hurricane, Hurricane Zeta, tore it up pretty good, and they're in the process of rebuilding it. This also served as a home for Confederate veterans and their widows until the last one died in 1953, I believe. And this is where they are buried. Everybody in there is a Confederate veteran. D.O.N.D.C., my brothers. I want to turn around here and go back toward the beach. Center. A lot of convention centers down here for such a small area.
Yes, they do. Plus, every casino's got a convention goddamn center.
Yeah. A lot of convention centers here. Pardon my mess on my dash, y'all. More of the beach, pretty barren through here, except a few jet ski places. Oh, what do you know? Another Waffle House. Coming up on Edgewater Mall. Edgewater Mall was built in the 70s and has undergone so many facelifts to where nobody ever remembers what it really originally looked like. But it's still going strong. And this light coming up is DeBees Road. And across DeBees Road, you will cross into the city of Gulfport. I'll do a whole nother video on Gulfport. Right now, this is Biloxi. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a right on DeBees Road, and I'm going to go up Pass Road, and then I'm going to come back and show y'all the Back Bay of Biloxi. Be pretty good area over here. It used to be Ryan's and Red Lobster on one side and some apartments on the other. This used to be a hospital over here. This area is just kind of gone, sadly. The old newspaper, Sun Herald, is on your left, and news channel, news station, WLOX is on your right. It's still there. Sun Herald has since moved. Need a better camera, brother.
That's what you buy separate cameras for.
Yeah, I know.
Because a phone camera can only do so much.
I know, but hey, I'm making it work. I'm making it work. Ugh. Alright, we're going to take a right on Pass Road. Another major thoroughfare in Biloxi. This road runs from Keesler Air Force Base to the CB base in Gulfport, the Navy Construction Battalion base. I'm not going to take it all the way down to the CB base. I'm just taking this down to Popsbury Road and go to North Biloxi.
I swear to God, more and more Asian places keep popping up out of nowhere.
Show what North Biloxi looks like, and then Bert, I think we're going to go downtown Biloxi and go take that walk and show the historical area. Then I think that'll be through with my series. Then I'll go home and cut it all together. What do you think?
There you
go. This is a pretty big commercial street with some residential areas on it. Area is known as the Bay Vista neighborhood. Bay Vista, when it was originally built, was fairly upscale for West Biloxi.
something else. I can't remember what it was. Then it switched over to Goodwill.
I ain't really had too much time to mess around over here in Biloxi, sadly, since I've been back. Sadly, when I moved back from Miami, I wound up living 30 miles away from here. And it is my intention to move back at some point before I die. Biloxi sits on a peninsula, if y'all hadn't figured it out yet. South Biloxi. And we are now leaving the peninsula, heading north on Popsbury Road. This is the old Popsbury Bridge. It got its name because it used to be a ferry that would ferry you from one end to the other, from one side to the other. I want you to get a boat too. You know why? Because if you have a boat, that means I've got the best boat in the world. And the best boat in the world is your best friend's boat.
Yeah, right. Actually, I do a barge on the boat. You can set it up. You can set up a barge any way you want.
That's true. You got a tugboat to tow it. Alright, so this is North Biloxi. And this road will take you all the way to the I-110 bridge, which is where we're going. We're going to go through the city of D'Iberville. Go to downtown Biloxi, where I have a special surprise for y'all. I'm going to stop recording, and then I'll show y'all that when I get down there. Alright, y'all. So, we're back in downtown Biloxi. That church back over there, and I'll get out and walk later is the Nativity. I'll show you that. But this is called the Vieux Marché. It used to be 2 lanes, and then it went down to 1 lane for most of my life. Now it's back up to 2 lanes. It used to be like a walking mall is really what they wanted it. There's the Sanger Theater. It's been there since 1929. They recently redid the Vieux Marché just a couple of years ago. And basically what they did is they just widened it. That used to be a club called Upstairs Downstairs. It burnt down a few years ago. And it basically puts us back to where I was in another part of this video. So, I'll pick it up a little later. Walking Mall, downtown Biloxi. y'all have enjoyed it. That was the Biloxi, Old Biloxi Walking Mall, Mary Mahoney Walkway, otherwise known as Water Street in Brew Magnolia. That last segment. This is Jackson Street. Jackson Street runs behind Biloxi Regional Hospital. And it goes to Main Street in Biloxi. I'm going to close this video out with get a shot of City Hall, and I welcome y'all to come down to Biloxi anytime y'all can. Thank you for watching. This has been Anthony Allen, your host with History in the Eyes of a Southerner. Thank you for watching my hometown of Biloxi, Mississippi. And if you have any stories or any comments, go ahead and leave me a comment. Like, subscribe, and share. And maybe I'll see you down here sometime.